Welcome back, everyone. My name is Phil Marriott. This is an entertainment channel, of course, on YouTube, and today I'm joined by Raj Rudolph from EQ Music Blog. We are together. We are Boys on Film, and of course we review all the best new movies. At the moment we're doing the BFI London Film Festival 2020. It is a great programme this year. We've covered quite a few films. Today though, we're talking about Herself. Over to Herself.
I really like this film. I always prejudge British filmmaking for some reason because I grew up on American films. I'm like, oh, it's not going to be high quality enough, blah, blah, blah. That's just my own internal thing that happens in my mind. It's totally stupid.
I have actually sussed this out already.
Okay.
Yeah, because I know how keen you were to see Kajillionaire, and now I realise why, because it's an American film.
Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe it's just because I didn't grow up with British TV and cinema. So yeah, it's a preconditioned thing in my mind. But I always have to tell myself, just stop, watch it. It'll be fine. And actually, the synopsis sounded great, and I was just. This movie was so heart-wrenching. I was enthralled by every minute, and I hated her husband, and I love those little kids, and I really enjoyed this movie. So I cast all my judgments aside about Herself and thoroughly enjoyed this film, as I should. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Lots of ticks for me. I'll tell you why in a minute, but let's talk about the story first. It's based on Sandra, who's played by Clare Dunne. She is also one of the writers of this film too. She's a young Dublin-based mum. She's got two very sassy daughters, I have to say. Like you say, her husband is not a very nice bloke. He's abusing her at home. They want to leave. The mother wants to leave, and the local council can't find them a home. So she basically decides to build her own home. I've got to say, the story itself is quite a refreshing one. It's quite an original story. I don't think I've seen a film about somebody building a house before.
Yeah, and I thought, she's gone through the ringer, this woman.
Yeah. Absolutely
gone through the ringer, and every turn she takes is like someone's like kicking her in the gut, sometimes literally. And it was refreshing to see her say, you know what, I can do this on my own. I'm going to do it on my own, and I'm going to pull every resource I have and pull in every favor and accept generosity, which I think was hard. It would be hard for a lot of people to just do it. And I have to say, the beginning and ending of this film, totally heart-wrenching. I was just gobsmacked. I felt like I was her. Yeah. I felt like I was herself in her boots, and I really just, this film was something else. I was really moved by it.
Yeah, it's a really powerful piece, actually. Let's talk about the credits, because it's directed by Phyllida Lloyd. And I have to say, going into this film, I was worried. I was worried that it was going to be schmaltzy and over the top, because obviously she is the director of Mamma Mia. It's a completely different film. If you're going into it thinking, oh, I hope it's not like Mamma Mia, it's not, because it's a very brutal story. I mean, it's a brutal opening scene. That first scene is tough. It's tough to watch, and it doesn't shy away from that kind of abuse, that kind of violence. It really does touch on that.
So going from happy, positive, upbeat musical numbers set in the beautiful Greek Isles to this, it's like, wow, completely. If you wouldn't have told me that it was directed by the same director as Mamma Mia, I wouldn't believe it, because two totally different styles of filmmaking and storytelling, and superb, just absolutely superb.
But I can see that there are, those elements of a bitter story to try and make it sweeter. Because, it's quite an empowering storyline. It's a story of a woman fighting through all this tension and these pressures to have a better life for herself and her children. It's a great story, and it's something that I think a lot of people are going to connect with. It's got positive elements to it that make it a triumph.
Absolutely, you'll be rooting for this woman along the way. You'll cry when she cries. You literally, I felt this film transplanted me into her boots, and yeah, huge props to everyone involved in this film because it's kind of a masterclass in indie filmmaking.
So one of the producers is Sharon Horgan, who we saw starring in, is it Military Wives?
Yeah.
So she starred in Military Wives, and she's obviously a writer behind many comedies that we've seen on TV. I think one of those is the series that Sarah Jessica Parker was in called Divorce, and that was superb. And I can definitely see her stamp on this. I can see similarities, obviously not just the Irish thing, because Sharon Horgan is obviously Irish as well, but I can see that very kind of strong woman element coming through in this. And also, I've got to say, the music, it features quite a lot of great female artists. We had the Cranberries, we had Sia. I mean, that was one of the moments that really did jar a little for me. I thought that scene where they're building the house and they played Titanium, David Guetta and Sia, it felt, yeah, I don't know. I can see why they chose that song, because it's quite an empowering, it's quite a powerful song, isn't it? It's quite uplifting.
They probably spent the whole budget on getting those songs licensed, but that didn't bother me one bit. I quite enjoyed sort of the modern injection of music into it, so I think Sia would have been proud.
Yeah, not many problems for me with this film. The other problem, let's just quickly touch on it because I want to get this out of the way, because I did really enjoy this film. The other problem was the character who was introduced, was played by Harriet Walter. She played a woman called Peggy. Sandra was her cleaner. She went round to her house and they became friends. They became stronger friends because they didn't really have that much in common, I don't think, before. But she was obviously an older woman. She was quite wealthy, middle class. It seemed to be that she was almost helping her out too much, and I wanted her to be a bit stronger independently rather than having, and I'm not going to call it a handout because obviously she had to work for it as well, but there was quite a strong emphasis on that, I think, in the story.
Yeah, and I see what you're saying there, but that's to me where the twist was, because a lot of people have a problem with accepting generosity and saying, yes, I'm in dire straits, but I actually need some help and I don't want a handout. And I think it's kind of brave to take it. And of course, a lot of people aren't going to ever get those opportunities. But to admit that you need help and someone's willing to offer it, I think that's where the twist was for me. That's
a good point, because I hadn't thought of it in that way. But at the moment that I was watching it, it was a bit of a disappointment for me. I just wanted her to, I don't know, claim it herself rather than. But you're right. I think you've got to be quite brave to kind of take that offering.
Yeah, and I think, especially with the times we're going through right now, it's very fitting. Like, a lot of people are struggling, and, just for someone to, give someone a piece of land, who actually needs it. And, it would have been, there's something about like accepting a handout and being a freeloader. I mean, that's different, but this is like, she obviously put herself last. I mean, she was so worried about her children first and foremost, and she had a good heart. And visibly, this woman was scarred. We don't know all the details around the arrangement. I thought for sure she was going to say, "Oh, you can be my cleaner until my dying day," or something like that. But I just thought it was brave for her to accept it,
because she was quite frail at the beginning of the movie. She was having health problems.
Yeah.
And it almost felt like that all disappeared. It felt like she just transformed into a completely different person that was not having any health problems and also was the most generous person ever.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of points in the film, like the main contractor, like he didn't want to get involved at all, and probably would react a lot of the same way as someone random just came to us and asked us for help, and I think it says a lot about the extras that were helping her to build the house. Like, there was a joy there that people wanted to share and contribute to. And, there's people like this that do things like this all the time, like house habitats for house or house for habitats. And, I just think it's nice to show that people are willing to give their time to help people in need. In a bit of twist of reality, the the woman's daughter was a bit skeptical too. She was like, "How well do you know this woman, or do you really want to do this? You could be inviting a bunch of trouble into it." But she was determined to help, and I just think that's admirable.
Yeah, it does show the strength of human spirit, doesn't it? Which is what we need at the moment. You're right. We need films that remind us that people around us are like that, because we see so much negativity, especially at the moment. I mean, we are seeing a lot of people reaching out because of the pandemic, which is great. But I think we do still need to be reminded of that.
Yeah, it's all, it kind of goes back to how we're all feeling at the moment. Check in on your friends.
Yeah.
Make sure they're okay. At the very least, offer them an ear. If you have lots of money, you don't mind spreading it around. But, I think it's a reminder that we just need to watch out for each other too.
I did like the characters in this. I think it's really important. I think you need to feel for the character. I didn't like the husband, obviously, but...
Oh, God. Oh.
What a piece of shit he was.
What a piece of shit.
We should say also that Clare Dunne, who's the lead in this, she plays Sandra. She's also the co-writer of this. And I think it's her first screenplay. So I think that's fantastic. I
hope it's not true, but I wonder if there's any autobiographical elements into it. Because a lot of people... especially when they make a piece of filmmaking that's so true, have dealt with similar issues at one point. So I wonder.
Yeah, I suppose it's a true story for many people. Not the house element, but it's difficult situation for a lot of people.
Absolutely.
So it's called Herself, and it's directed by Phyllida Lloyd. It is on at the BFI London Film Festival, which we're covering for 2020. We're doing it, well, we're big guns, aren't we, with this year? Because we do normally cover these festivals, especially this one, but we're covering a lot more films this time.
Absolutely.
Because we got a bit more time on our hands.
Exactly. So don't have to worry about those two brides back and forth to the cinema. The only thing we have to worry about is streaming going down, which has happened once so far. But it's being justified. So
check out all the notes below in the description box of where you can see it and when eventually you can buy it on DVD if it's available. And we'll see you on the next video. Good to see you, Raj. See you next time.
Bye, Phil.
Thanks for watching, everyone.